Yo, what's good? It's Bear in the building. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Kueen Talk. If you guys are new here, welcome. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe button, leave a comment. Let me know what you think of this episode. Today, we got a very special guest, y'all. Very special to me. This guest graduated from Wichita State with a bachelor's in fine arts, who didn't wait for the spotlight but built his own, who is known as Damian Brown, but the fabulous Brown Sugar. Please welcome Damian Brown.
Hey, what an introduction. Who needs that? I need you to just be on my shoulder every place I go, like at the Quick Trip, and then just like, what's your name? You take it away, right? That's very sweet. Thank you.
No, this is really, when I asked you to be on here, you are one of the first people that I seen and go to a drag show. My first show was in Texas at Havana's, but on a regular basis, Fantasy was I'm 18 in there getting it lit,
Getting it. Those were the days,
Yes.
right? I mean, it was only just a couple months ago that I started. So
yeah. Let's get into it though.
You got it.
How did you start in drag?
So like you just said, I graduated with a bachelor's in fine arts, and I was ready with my shiny degree, ready to be a brand new actor. And I was going to spend 1 year here and then maybe go to a larger place like Chicago or Dallas or somewhere that had a full actor's experience. And before I knew it, I wasn't getting any roles. That first year I graduated, it was just role after role after role. And then it dried up really quickly. So I found myself at Fantasy, and Fritz Capone says, I saw you in a play and you might be really good at something. If you would like to give this a shot, I'll help you out. And I had did drag for it was called Kansas Can. So it was for the rodeo association, the Kansas Gay Rodeo Association.
Okay.
And I just did sort of a number just to raise some money for that organization. And I mean, I was blown away with how good I think I was.
Yeah.
And so then I was tapped, and they said, "Hey, why don't you host a show and come up with your own jokes, and you can figure this out. It'll be fun."
So who is this?
This was Fritz Capone, and Fritz Capone, for the most part, started drag here in Wichita.
Okay.
He was here from the late '70s up until 2012 when he passed.
Okay.
But he was like a mentor, and he was one of those people that sort of said, "You're good at this. Keep going." And I'm like, "Okay,
Shout out him.
I will." Shout out to Fritz Capone. If anybody knows him, y'all know her and love her. Yeah, so that was that. And before I knew it, I took off. And then I had my own show. And then
What year was that?
this would have been 2001.
So 2001.
2001 when I first got started. I did drag a little bit for a show. I did a play where I had to play a drag queen specifically. But that was, it was with memorized lines and in a controlled space where it looked, for me, it felt legitimate.
Yeah.
Since then, I've kind of fought. There was a moment in my drag career where I kind of fought and thought, this still isn't mainstream theater. It still isn't what I think I was put on this earth to be or do. But I think with any creative outlet, you sort of hit a rough spot and you find yourself doubting yourself and saying, this isn't it. But now RuPaul's Drag Race is here. And
Yeah,
you can
so you started before that?
Oh, God, yeah.
So,
God, yeah. And that's what I was called forever.
Yeah.
RuPaul came out in
2009.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But RuPaul had her hit song in the 90s or early 90s. And so when I donned a blonde wig, that was it.
So that was
Supermodel of the World, that song would play. I would go into different bars downtown when downtown was not downtown like it is now. Downtown Wichita, I would walk into a friendly bar is what we called it. Yeah,
Okay,
I think everybody knows what that is. A friendly bar. And RuPaul, that song would play. And I was like, okay, this is weird. All of a sudden, that was my anthem for 5 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And then all of a sudden I was like, I'm going to stick with this. And then more money came and then more opportunities. And then I was able to sort of work as a working queen, which is not is rare. Yeah.
That's dope. That's
Yeah.
lit.
It was nice.
What was your first representation? Was it the first time like that Fritz told you about it, or like had you known about it before then?
Oh, so I went to a drag show. So I came out in 1996.
96.
I don't need any of the negativity, but
Yo, kudos to you for being brave to come out in 96. Like,
so I came out in 96, and it was a drag show like on a Sunday night, and I was like, oh, well, this is interesting. There was another person in Wichita. There was another person in the theater department at that time, who shall remain nameless. But they said he stole all the dresses size 16 and over from the costume department. And so that was always a running joke every time I see him. I'd say, how many times have you stole from the costume department at Wichita State? And so I knew people on the outskirts, on the fringes, I guess is what I should say, that did drag. But it felt, again, a little covert. It felt a little sneaky. And I think for a lot of gay men that enjoy drag, I think it probably started out sort of shameful, but I think a lot of gay men's lives start shameful. We are already ashamed that we have these feelings, that we have these notions. And so that just adds another layer, that we kind of like women's clothes, that we kind of like to play in women's hair. Yeah. We kind of like to wear their shoes. Yeah. It was always sort of...
How did you navigate with that? So obviously you're speaking of your own experience.
Yeah. Well, eventually you have to find your way and say, I don't care what anybody thinks about me. Yeah. But, coming back from my background, growing up in a heavily religious household, it was another layer of shame. So you found yourself sort of sneaking around until you either get caught or you just don't care. Yeah. I'm thankfully an only child. So my mother did not know, but eventually before she passed, I finally said, so what do you think of this person? I had my picture on my phone. And I said, what do you think of this person? She says, oh, she's pretty. And then she sort of paused. And then it was almost like you saw the syntax like connect, those brain flames that said, oh. I said, yeah. She goes, oh, you look good.
That's a great response.
Yeah. I was fully an adult at that point. And so I had already sort of came out to her, and I was living with my lover at the time. So it was just my life, I think. And so thankfully she gave me that blessing to say, this is your life. Do it however you want to. You're not hurting anybody. It's not illegal yet. But, and so you do it, you go for it, and be the best you can be. And that's how I was raised. Whatever you're going to do, make sure it's the best.
That's dope. So you said in 96 is when you came out.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Let's go with that. Yes. Sweet Lord.
How old were you? How old were you? Well, wait, this is your coming out story. Like,
okay, sure. So, I was 21 in 1996. Okay. So now you do the math. Okay. Yeah, I got the big 5-0 barreling down the hill, ready to knock me over in the next couple months. But yeah, I was 21, and I didn't want to do anything illegal. Like at that point, you could jump the fence in the fantasy. There was a way that you could park in the parking lot, and then there was a high fence that you could jump, and then walk through.
You could be 18 to get in there, though.
That was before. Oh no. That was after. Okay. Before, it was heavily regulated, and the police would sometimes show up, and the DJ would turn on this red light, like a siren, that meant if you were underage, get your out of here. So they would jump the fence, crawl through the desert.
Oh my God.
And then they would enter through the patio, because the patio didn't charge. They didn't have a door person. And so by that point, the music was already going. It was halfway through the night. It was midnight. And so you could still show up at 17 or 18 or 19 and dance the night away and not get caught. I didn't want to do that because one, I pay way too much for these clothes that I'm wearing to the club. I'll wait till I'm 21. I'm not jumping nobody's fence.
Yeah.
That's tacky.
So you waited till it was legal.
I waited till I was completely legal.
Would you say you were a good kid then growing up? Like
I think I was a good kid. I was a Cub Scout, Boy Scout, and Eagle Scout. And no Scoutmaster touched me.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I didn't know if you wanted this, if it was going to take a sad turn.
No.
And I was in debate and choir and church functions 3 nights a week until I was fully grown. And so, yeah, I mean, that was it. That was like, for me, that was my moral compass. Like, it was about serving your community and serving your God. And that was it. There was nothing else in between. So I think I was a good kid.
Yeah,
I mean, my first beer was a Michelob.
Okay.
Have you ever never?
Michelob Ultra?
It was not a Michelob Ultra. It was a Michelob Lowenbrow. It was called the Champagne of Beer. Sweet Lord, I should not be telling this story because some of you people that are over 40, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Michelob Lowenbrow was the name. Lowenbrow, Loenbr. It was German, Brau or something like that. Smooth brew or something in German. And it went right in the plant. Like, I took a sip and I was like, I can't do this. Next. Fast forward. That next summer, I was drinking Coke 45 double malts, the 40 ounces. Coke 45, baby. It was $1.98.
Hey.
For $10, you get the whole crew wrecked.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
That is the cheap and does it quick.
And it gets right where you need to go.
Yeah. That malt beer.
Yeah.
Oh man. So you said you're like really religious growing up. What's your faith look like now these days?
So I still listen to gospel music every morning just because I don't know where my mind is going to go. And sometimes I sort of need that peaceful, pretty music in the morning, just sort of wake me up and sort of remind myself to be gracious of the things that I have. Even when you sort of hate your job, there's always somebody that says, man, I wish I could work at a bank. And then it puts things in different perspective. You get in my car, and it's like, this. Sometimes that car will light up like a Christmas tree as soon as I start it up. Like, all the lights are on. But it's mine. You know what I mean? And there are people out there that I know wish they had a car. Right. So I have to remind myself of my gratitudes and remind myself of how thankful I am. So that part of being thankful of the universe for allowing me to just be in this space and having it, I don't necessarily know if I can define, but I am always conscious that I didn't get this far alone. So I don't know if that's inner strength or if God lives in me or if God lives around me or above me or below me. It really doesn't matter. I just have to be thankful for the things that I have. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Do you think did your relationship strain from the church?
Oh, yeah. So when I turned 17, I moved out into this apartment it was Batten Apartments. It was on Harry and Oliver. Okay. And I paid $189 a month for rent.
That's so nice. That shit lit. We can live our source at 17 for that too.
Let's do it. Everybody needs to move in. But I moved out when I was 17 because I knew that I was beginning to have urges and I didn't know how to articulate them. I knew that my body physically was articulating them, if you can catch my drift, but I didn't know how to put them in words. And, I always had certain mannerisms. I always had a smack. I probably always spoke with my hands, and my wrists probably were always above my shoulders when I spoke. So, I mean, if you were an outsider looking in, you probably would have said, "Oh, this is a gay man." I didn't see that, and I didn't want to see that, and so I fought and ran from it as far as I could. And I remember my home church. The pastor gave a sermon, and he says there are homosexuals in the choir, there are homosexuals in these pews, and there are homosexuals on this pulpit. There are homosexuals everywhere. And I don't really know what his point was. It very well may have been a positive spin on homosexuality in general. But I know that it's sort of everything went black for me. And I thought, oh, I've been seen. And two, I don't want to be seen with church hate. Yeah. And I don't know if anybody out there knows what church hate is, but church hate it's insidious and it's mean and it's deliberate, and it's spirit breaking.
100%.
Yeah.
100% spirit breaking defines it.
Yeah.
All. It's just, I definitely relate to that. I recently have gotten closer back. I found a church online that I go to. I haven't found one like in person that I feel comfortable going to. I went to a church, my grandmother's church, who I grew up with, and it was a horrible experience. Like this was like recently. Like last year.
And the thing is, when you're self-actualized and you know who you want and you know who you want to spend your time with and your money on, if it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't look right, I'm not wasting my time with this.
Yeah,
I'll see y'all later. I'm out.
Exactly. And she just asked me and my partner what we doing for Easter. We ain't doing that.
We're not going to that church.
Right. I was like, I got to.
And eggs is too high anyway. We might have a ham sandwich.
For real though. Hey, but no, it is.
We gonna wait till Easter Monday and get that half price jelly beans and Reese's peanut butter cups, baby. That's so what we're doing for Easter.
Yeah, so it is spirit breaking for sure.
Yeah,
and like you have to find your own level and relationship with faith and what that looks like after it's broken. Like
after it's broken, that's when you pick up the pieces. And so, I mean, I look back now and think, well, maybe that was exactly how it was supposed to happen. You know what I mean? Because sometimes the best things are broken all the way down and then put back together again by yourself, instead of sort of being indoctrinated with it, because you can do your own research and you can adapt what works for you and what doesn't, and who does and who doesn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I've definitely done that myself. I'm still doing it, still learning. And
good job.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. I mean, it's like every time, like you said, like especially coming from like a black household, like it is just like prevalent.
Oh yeah.
In those households.
It's who we are.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. But you know what? It's so interesting to think of drag and black church because of the pageantry. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because you talk about Easter. Have you ever been to a black church on Easter Sunday? Hats. Yeah. And then the suits with the rhinestones. That's drag. Yeah. Baby, that's drag. Yeah. And I remember touching, I was a little one, but these ladies used to wear like these like hair pieces on the back. They called them falls back in the early 80s. I cannot believe I'm telling you my age. But I was so infectious. She was sitting right in front, and I was sitting on my mother's lap, and I was so infectionated. I wanted to touch that lady's wig. I wanted to touch her. I wanted to touch that lady's wig so bad. And I remember my mom just putting my hand out. I was older. It's not like I was a toddler. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like toddlers want to touch everything. Right. I was old enough to be able to be told to sit down and pay attention or color or whatever, to keep you busy. I was old enough to probably not to pick too big to be sitting on her lap, but I don't know if the pews or all the family was squishing just in one pew. I don't know how it worked, but I was infatuated with that lady's hair, and I didn't touch it, but I wanted to bad. You
mentioned that it was drag, and I seen a quote that you said, we're all in drag unless you're naked.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. We're all, I'm wearing a uniform because, I don't want to be wearing this. Yeah. It is the same as drag. Drag is something that you put on to sort of present yourself to perform for that. And so I'm putting this uniform on to present myself and to perform those expectations of the uniform. It's definitely a political moment every time I put on drag, every time I don drag, because so many don't understand it, and some don't understand that it's just a boy in a dress that's telling a few jokes and mushing his mouth around to somebody else's song. We don't take it that serious, so I don't know why everybody else is.
What do you feel when they say like kids is not made for drag?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. I probably don't. I mean, if you've ever been to my show, I probably don't think that you need to have a child at my show. But trust me, there have been times where I have prepared and I have bullet points of exactly what I'm going to say when my opening monologue after I finish my first number. And there's a 10-year-old that comes up and gives me $1, and I'm like, oh, this is parenting 101. And I completely understand that they want their child to be, they want their children to be around and see people that are different than them, because it does humanize the whole experience.
Yeah. But there's a time and a place.
But there's a time and a place. And so I feel like reading to your child, I don't know if I ever want to. And that's just me personally. It's not saying that I believe the children are our future. Thank you, Whitney Houston. Teach them well and let them lead the way and show them all the beauty that they possess inside. However, I don't necessarily think that I want to spend an afternoon reading to your child if your parents don't want me to.
Yeah.
And I think it also comes down to my generation. So many times gay men have been looked at as predators. So we have to really, I'm ultra conscious about somebody else's child. And I think that the gay men in my life, or the gay men in my generation, are very conscious of other people's children. We don't touch. We'll give you a high five. I'm not putting you on my lap, because we were always looked at already as someone that was going to touch your child. And trust me, my generation, we want a man. Shoot.
That's interesting that you say that you're very cautious of what you do. Like, I'm not a gay man, but I do that too. Like,
it's very interesting that we all, because we know that society already looks at us as groomers, I think is a word. Maybe I shouldn't say predator, but I think you know what I mean by that. Groomers are the ones that are saying that this is okay. Listen, I'm not saying anything about, I'm not trying to raise anybody's child. If you don't want your child to be exposed to different people, that's fine. Your child will be exposed to different people, because this is America and this is a melting pot, and they're going to see us and we're going to be around. But if you don't want that, that's fine. I'm not here to force anybody else's hand.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And with everything like going on now, like I feel like you've seen like the ways of just like the queer community and just like the highs of it and just like the lows of this year, or just like how are you feeling right now about everything?
You know, I wake up every morning and Alexa plays NPR, and sometimes I just say, turn it off. Turn it off until I get my coffee. And then let me put on some music and let me calm my mind. The outside world can be terribly mean and terribly insensitive to those that are deemed less than. And it's always important to have your own strength and your own self of your own self of love, your own self-respect, your own dignity, because the world will take it away.
Definitely.
And I try not to put too much energy into it. So I'm now just, I don't know if that means that I'm just the flamingo that sticks my head in the sand and says, I don't want to listen to la 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 la. But sometimes it's the best for me to just be able to hold on. Because too much of that,
Yeah.
You can get depressed.
Yeah, I watch news usually on a regular, but I do have to take like breaks.
Yeah.
I have, like
Yeah.
because I can get consumed in it.
I mean, I liken
and
it to 9/11 when that first happened. I don't know how old you were, but I was a full adult as it's now been
I'll never
established.
forget where I was. Man.
Yeah.
The TVs came out, strolling out,
And
in
there
the
was
classrooms.
and there were so many questions. And I remember coming home and just being glued to CNN, completely glued, day in and day out. And this was like it wasn't the beginning of the 24-hour news cycle, but not everybody, had cable. And so if you had CNN, you could watch it from morning to night, the wee hours. They were still coming, a new development. And I felt myself just being so, I mean, I completely understand. I mean, if you didn't live through that as an adult, you wouldn't understand why we went to war. But that was the reason we went to war, because we were so inundated with it that we felt like, what can we do? We got to do something. We've got to get them back. And that was it. And so we went. That was the start of a silly war that we should have never even been a part of. So yeah, I have to take my breaks with it.
How do you feel like the community, like, are you doing something to like build community work? Like, do you feel like, okay, we gotta come together with more things? Like, how do you feel like in that aspect of it?
It was very interesting. Our mayor has been in the hot seat here recently, and there is a march coming up in a couple days. And I sat there at lunch as I was eating my Arby's chicken sandwich and contemplating if I should have the mozzarella sticks because those are fire. And I thought, am I going to go to this? I have the day off, and it's a Sunday, and I thought I could go to this. And then I was reminded of the nationwide march that we had this past Saturday. Yeah. It was called, I think, Hands Off.
Yeah.
And it was terribly tame. And there was a understanding in the Black community that we are not going to these marches. We're not doing this because we already voted, and we voted for Kamala. And possibly the reason why this person is in office right now is because of Caucasians. So this is Caucasians' fight. This isn't Black's fight. I was on the fence with that, and I promise you I'm going to get back to your answer. But I felt like there's something that should be done. But then I saw how tame these marches were, because Black people have marched for years, and we know the struggle and the anger, and we have signs, and we have bullhorns, and we have a certain energy that we want to excite and get across. And yes, we will obstruct streets to inconvenience whoever's driving, because we want them to feel inconvenienced. We want them to feel something that we feel. We've been inconvenienced for years and years as Black people. So as gay people, we are also inconvenienced. But my struggle now is just trying to be a decent human and just surround myself around other decent humans. I think I'm a little too long in the tooth now to get in that fight, because there are young gay men specifically that say, well, I hate gay pride. And they've missed the mark already. Yeah. So marching in the streets for gay pride in 1996 with me meant something completely different. We already now have the right. Let me start over. My generation gave these new gays the right to have sex without condoms, because we fought to get married, to be on Grindr, to be able to say I hate gay pride, to be able to be a drag queen and not wear breast forms, which I will never understand, but that's neither here nor there. I only have what I have to offer, and that's it.
Yeah. So you feel like you fought the fight for where we are. Like
I fought the fight, and I'm ready to fight the fight
Yeah.
again, but I'm also ready to pass the baton.
Yeah,
But I would like to pass the baton to somebody with as much energy and as much conviction as I had.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily know if I see that. So you have to prove me wrong.
Yeah,
You youngsters, prove me wrong.
Yeah, I did see there was just like things like after the hands off protest, it was just like there was no cops, no military out there.
I remember I saw a quote where a lady said, "We need more things to do for kids. We should get like a bouncy house." Ma'am, this is a protest. Like, what are you talking about? This is not a.
Yeah.
This isn't a birthday party.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I didn't see that.
yeah, she says we need to have more things for kids to do it during the protests.
Yeah.
Maybe stay home or read to them because I'm not.
Man, I like with Kueen Talk. This is like my way. Like you're not gonna silence our voices.
Yeah.
And you mentioned just being black. How I wanted to like, what was it like? I know what it's like right now being black and queer, but like back when you were like doing drag in the face, like what was that like?
You know, there weren't many places to go dress shopping. That's why my friend probably stole all of the size 16 and above from the costume shop from Wichita State. There was a place called Payless. I don't know if you're old enough to remember. Okay, all right. Easter has not been the same.
No, I just about to say, I seen that.
Since Payless went away. Easter ain't been the same, baby. But there was on 21st and Oliver, there was a Payless that sat right beside a Kmart. It's right now. I believe we're mid K6. There was Payless, a Revco, which is sort of like a Walgreens, and then a Kmart, and then like a Chinese restaurant. It's all set in that place. And that was the only place that you could get larger lady shoes.
Okay.
But we knew when the shipment came in. And I would squeeze my size 14s into a size 12.
Oh my gosh.
But it was good, but it was cheap leather and it was well-made leather. And so the glue didn't give out. Like you could squeeze in. You just put it in. And there were a few dress shops that you would have to get buzzed in to go. And if there were too many gay men in that dress shop, you just sat outside and waited until 3 left or 1 left, then they would buzz you in. So I don't necessarily know if this had to do with me being gay in a women's dress shop, or if it had to do with me being black, or if it had to do with both of them. The intersexuality, you said it right, of being black and being gay, I didn't choose either. I couldn't take either away because they make up who I am. Right. But it was felt on both sides. And sometimes hate is just hate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see a lot of representation of other like gay black men that were in drag besides RuPaul?
Yeah. So I did see RuPaul, but I'll say it again.
Besides RuPaul.
Besides RuPaul, I saw a beautiful queen named Paris Cook, Jamaica Montez. Okay. My girlfriend Ebony, who was as tall as I was.
So these are people that were like with you. And
yes, they were a generation older than me, but they were established queens that sort of showed you the ropes. Yeah. Showed you, okay, now listen, you don't show up without any nails.
Do you have like a picture of like your first drag look?
I sure do. And you will never see it.
I want it.
You will never see it. You'll never see it. It goes in my black bag, and this is my best friend knows where my black bag is. It's like, this is where my diaries are. This is where all of my journals are. This is my personal space. No. And there's some photos. Put them in the river. Shoot them, burn them, then drop them in water, and then pour the water down the drain.
it because I really want to. All right, can I just see it? I want to see it.
I very well may be able to show you
Okay,
one.
I know
would.
what you look like now, like beautiful.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I was not then. I was not. And the interesting thing is, like, there's always these different trends that every generation is a different trend. When I first started, going back to your question, first starting, we didn't really have we didn't have internet at all. We didn't have cell phones. So we
AOL was
just
getting started up.
Yeah. So you had to be creative. Like, if you didn't have a sewing machine, you better learn how. You better have a good friend that does have a sewing machine, because if you have an irregular size body, you better do it. You better learn how. We had fashion fair makeup in the mall in Dillard's, and that was the only line for black girls. That was it. Now, we could go to these hair stores and we could get their powder, their pressing powder, but it was terribly cheap and it didn't really work that well.
It wasn't very complex.
Yeah. Or we could go to the theatrical store, but again, it was like grease paint. It was like made for a different kind of setting. And so it was that theatrical makeup was hot. Yeah. You would put it on and just beads of sweat. You just dab it, and a mess. And some of those things you just have to learn on your own. I can't use a straight razor because my face will break out. And so I will put on makeup, and then I look like a Nestle Crunch bar. Thank you. These are the jokes, people. These are the jokes. So, I have to use like this depilatory that sort of burns the hair off, sort of like Nair. Yeah. Yeah. So, you learn all these different tricks of the trade, and I am always willing to share. But sometimes you meet these new kids, and they don't really want to hear. Yeah. They've got it made because now they can go online and they can pick their own hair. And then they can pick their own costume. Then they can buy their shoes in size 17 if they need to. They can buy their own pantyhose. All of this can be online. Yeah. And we would go to 3 different stores because we were needing coffee pantyhose or suntan pantyhose. We would go to 3 or 4 different Walmarts or Kmarts just to get, you know what I mean? Just because it's all we had. Now we can. It's just easier. It's much easier to do drag.
Definitely a lot. The internet has definitely helped.
Definitely changed
tremendously. And speaking like on the drag situation, you were the first alternate in the Miss Gay Kansas.
Oh my gosh! Yes, yes. So man, I did 2 pageants in my entire life. One was Miss Fantasy. Only 2. I always hosted. Okay. I was always just tapped, hey, can you host this pageant? Sure, I would just host it. And so I got very comfortable behind the microphone, reading off the cards to say, now she's coming with a blue dress designed by Miss and so I just got really comfortable with that. And Fritz Capone said, hey, you should run for Miss Fantasy. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Anyways, I was Miss Fantasy 2002, and then
that was just a year after you won the first year.
Yeah, I was hot then. I was still hot. I had it. It was all in my blood. Like now this. I mean, I was dropping it like it's hot. Now I pick it up like it's cold. But and then 10 years later, I was like, I'm going to be Miss Kansas because I kind of want the gig and I kind of feel like I am, the head. It's heady. It's a lot of ego that goes in with drag, but definitely when you want to enter a pageant, it's, I want to be that girl. Mm-hmm. I want to be her, and so that was it for me. And I was, but there's a lot of politics that played into it. And I got a $10,000 dress. $10,000. That's a used car.
That's expensive.
And that's just for the gown.
2013. That's expensive.
That was just for the gown. That's not talking about the hair that I had to get. My hair came from my hair guy, but he put it. He lives in Atlanta. He put it on a Greyhound bus because it was cheaper to ship it on a bus than it was UPS or the standard mail system because everything ships or you can go anywhere for $69.99.
Yeah.
And so
Way to think outside the box.
So I got my hair from there and then the shoes and then you got to pay the dancers and you got to pay for the mixes. And before you know it, you have racked up $20,000. And that's now you're just the first alternate.
Well, that's a great accomplishment.
I wanted the crown.
Yeah.
I want the crown. I wanted the crown. So I got my scores. I was inconsolable. I was inconsolable. I was inconsolable for about 6 months. But I still had to go to nationals because in that system, the winner and the alternate go to nationals as representatives of that state or that region. And so I don't want to go because I'm done with drag. You know what I mean? Like I've lost.
Yeah.
Like y'all already said that I ain't shit. So why I want to go and prove on a national level that I really ain't shit?
You're pretty hard on yourself.
Oh my God. Well, I'm a tough guy. I'm tough on myself. I'm tough on a lot of people. But you know, I always feel like if I can do it, anybody else can do it. But yeah, I think that might be an only child syndrome. Just maybe not having brothers and sisters or elders that say, "Hey, I'll help you." Yeah. You kind of just got to figure it out on your own.
Yeah. When I see, I was like, "Dang, that's a good."
Thank you very much. I don't even bring it up in mixed company. I don't even know some of my closest friends know that I was. They do now, baby. Tune in.
What else could be a Kueen Talk exclusive? Everybody.
Oh, that's about it. Oh. You've already dug up all the trash. If you ask for any more, I'm throwing this microphone out the window and walking out.
You won in 2013, but I want to know, like, what was
I did not win in 2013.
You did. You got first.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. I did. I was an alternate.
What did you say earlier? Many people, you broke down card. Many people would have loved to get the first alternate. They would have loved that honor.
My girl, you put it in perspective.
Yes.
Thank you very much. You put it right there. You put it right where I needed to go. Yes. I appreciate that.
Be happy.
Be proud of that.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to write that in my journal tonight.
Definitely. But how did you feel when Fantasies closed down?
Oh, man. So that was like my start, you know, like, and that's where like I honed my everything, you know, I learned how to paint my face. I learned how to put together costumes. I learned how to bullet point jokes. I learned how to present myself, work well with others, be on time. I mean, people that say that drag is not
on time.
Yeah, people that say that drag is not a real job, that's not true. Like you have to collaborate. You have to work well with others. You have to know if something doesn't go right because these are the days of CDs, and sometimes CDs would skip.
Oh my God!
In the middle of a number, baby. Oh, no, and then it would just stop. Yeah. And then the DJ would have to like get it back. You'd have to learn how to, you know, like ad lib and how to do all of that. So when Fantasy closed, I was like really feeling really great. I had already traveled. I had already done shows and here and there and in different states and cities, and people were calling me to be a part of hosting their pageants. And so by 2014, I would come out and it was Thursdays were packed. I mean, packed. Yes. And I would start the show at 10:30. Okay, 10:30. Like the last 5 years, I got really good about starting the show on time. But before, it would start at 11. It was at 11:02. Start at 11:15. I mean, I was tripping. Like, how dare you invite somebody to a show? And these people, they've been here an hour and a half just waiting. Anyways, but I learned all of that, and the shows were packed. And then I would come out on a Friday night, and it was 15 people in that big old bar. So I began to realize, oh, no, there's a lot of onus on myself, and I need to sort of make sure that I step up to the plate because I'm not saying that I'm keeping the bar open. I am not saying any of that, but I know that I was a puzzle piece to keeping that bar afloat for a while. Yeah. And then when it closed, well, that wasn't easy. That was like, well, I'm not doing my job. I'm Here it is, hard on myself. Here it
Yeah.
is, the ego saying, "Oh, well, I should have worked better. I should have worked harder." So I went into a weird depression for about 4 months because we had to clean out all of our dressing room. I had a huge dressing room. I had to clean it all out, put it in my garage. I didn't know what to do on Thursday nights because I had sort of established myself every Thursday night. I started getting ready at 5 o'clock, teasing hair or making or whatever, finishing the costume. And I'm just like, what do I do? What do we do? So it was a loss. It was a loss. I met some of my best friends at Fantasy, and I met my lover at Fantasy. I learned how to kiss at Fantasy. I learned how to do the 1-2 step by Sierra.
Hey!
I learned how to drink, and I learned how to flirt. I mean, a lot of the things that made up me makes me the gay man that you see before me was the Fantasy. And I know that's weird to put that on a building, but the lessons that I learned, it all revolved around that.
Yeah. What'd you do afterwards? Like, where was the next?
So my
spot?
next step, here it goes. I went to work for a place called Boomerang.
Okay. Yeah. I'm familiar.
And it was very different because I had to sign a contract, which meant that I was working there exclusively. And I had to pack my drag. Like, I had to pack every night I would have to bring a bag to the bar because I didn't have a dressing room. And I had to
What is this?
Right. All of a sudden now I'm like, oh no, fur coat. I gotta get out of here. They paid me well. Or they would pay me the same that I was making at the Fantasy. I get a base pay. And I had a drink tab. And I found myself frustrated because it wasn't the Fantasy. But no one knew where to go. You know, the Fantasy closed so abruptly. Like, it closed.
No warning.
No warning. I think it closed like February 12th, 2014, or something like that. It was like right around Valentine's Day. So it was just out of nowhere. And so, like, I didn't know what to do. A month, and then all of a sudden, he's opening this bar. Hey, can you take a meeting? I was like, sure, I'll take a meeting. Took a meeting, then there was this contract, and I was like, okay, this is weird. So, like, can I, like, go out of town? Because sometimes I have gigs out of town. Sometimes I have, like, private parties that I'm asked to show up to. I'm just making an appearance. Well, that is a case-by-case basis. And I was like, oh, okay, I don't know if I'm going to like this. Yeah. So I was there for a year until the contract was over. Yeah. And my friend Robert opened a place that's now a strip club called Inferno.
Okay.
And it's on the other side of the tracks, literally on the other side of the tracks. Had my own dressing room. But it was an old, like, Mexican restaurant. So my wigs always smelled like fajitas, fried fajitas.
But you got the dressing room.
But I got the dressing room. So, you know, some people ain't got a dressing room. Gratitude. And that bar was set up really strangely. And it was, I think people at that point had gotten used to going to other bars. And we are now moving into 2016. And the goal was for gay liberation was to be able to get married and go wherever I want with my group of friends or my husband. And we don't necessarily, do we really need gay bars? So this was an onset of apps on your phone that you could find whatever you wanted to find. I think you know what I mean. And now the internet is in full swing, and we don't have to go to a drag show to watch a drag show. I can just watch it on YouTube. I can now turn on the TV and watch it on MTV at that point. You know what I mean? So part of the sharpness of drag the risqueness of drag, the shocking of drag is now moving into mainstream, and gay life is moving more into the suburbs. And so queens now being on the fringes of society are still on the fringes of society, but now the gay world has moved towards the middle. Yeah. And so I was there for 9 months, and then the bar closed down. And then I was tapped to host Sunday nights. We would do one Sunday night every month at XY.
Okay. When did XY open up then?
Oh, boy. 2016, 2017, something like that. And so I was doing a show once a month there. It wasn't great, but it was a creative outlet for me. Yeah. Still. And I was now I'm kind of tired. Now my back is hurting. Now heels are $80, and now my thigh-high boots are $120, and now hair pieces are $225, and now things are terribly expensive. And I'm not making a weekly, because everything I made in drag, I always put right back in drag. You know what I mean? So it was always a constant. You got to be fresh. If you're going to be every week, you got to come on. She wore that same dress last week. If she wears that silver dress, she look like a baked potato. That kind of stuff. So you got to be fresh. And so it was harder to be fresh once a month because I was like, what did I even wear? What did I wear for the September show? I don't remember. So I don't even know if I was repeating things. You know what I mean? And then it felt like a chore. Okay. It felt like, oh man. Personally, my lover and I were waiting tables at the time. He went to work at sort of as a manager in corporate world, and he was pressuring me. This is it. We're getting older. Maybe it's time for us to sort of look for a job with retirements. We're not picking up these heavy trays. Yeah. You know what I mean? And bouncing around trying to learn Nicki Minaj and all her wordy ass songs. I'm like writing it down, like, slow down, sis. Like it would play, and then I would pause it, and then I'd write it down, and then I rewind it, and then I would forget where I was. Oh, it was a mess.
Now they have the lyrics.
Now they got the lyrics. But I mean, it still took me forever to learn them, because, things, your body will change. Yeah. And so that was it. And so my vigor for drag sort of to wane. And so I decided, well, I guess I'll go back to banking. I was working in banking when I graduated. And 25 years ago when I graduated Wichita State, I was working for Bank of America. And I thought, my mom and my father, they were so proud. Oh my gosh, you stay on this job for 25 years, you'll be the president of the bank. Well, no, I dyed my hair blonde. I quit on a Tuesday. I'm going to wait tables at Bennigan's, and I'm going to be a drag queen. And I did that for 25 years. Well, yeah. 25 years.
But you're still doing it, though.
I'm still doing it. I'm still doing it.
So you do it at Rain now, right?
I do it at Rain. And, I mean...
The show turned out good. Last time I went, it was good.
I just had a show last week at Roxy's. And that was great. I am also in a position, and I don't want this to sound or come across the way it might come across, because I mean it earnestly, but I'm in a position to sort of turn down gigs. Yeah. There are some times where I'm just like, no, I could probably work a lot more. I could probably work 3 times a month if I wanted to. I don't want to.
Right, yeah. If it's like you do it when you want.
I do it when I want to. I don't have anything to prove to anybody. Yeah. I'm on Kueen Talk.
Yeah, hey, I know that's right.
I'm on Kueen Talk. I have seen it. I have not done it all, but I've done enough in my lifetime to be able to not necessarily have to get my name out there. Who is that? I'm Brown Sugar, and you know what I mean. I got to be bodacious and go up to strangers and with my big blonde wig. And
I feel like if you're gay in Wichita, I feel like they know who Brown Sugar is. Like,
I don't know. I mean,
I feel like if you don't know who Brown Sugar is, you definitely should.
You should. Now, listen, I will agree with you. Yeah. No truer words have ever been stated.
Do you do the Rain show every?
So I do it every other month.
Okay.
And I've already done it for March. So my next show will be in May.
Okay.
So
Is it like the first weekend, second weekend?
it's usually the third weekend of the month, but sometimes they have to move it around depending on the holidays.
Yeah.
So I'll keep everybody
That is
posted.
one thing, like you said, you used to be late, but that's one thing I figured out about your show. Like you had one recently at XY.
Yeah.
And I was a little late, but it was already on time. I was
I'll start because now I realize that your name and your reputation is on the line, and the stakes are a lot higher. Like you can't say, "Oh well." Back in the day, you could start because this is the only game in town.
Right,
You know what I mean? If you want to
exactly.
see your best friend, Christina Cross, do the number, then you got to stick around and wait. And we kind of knew that.
Yeah.
Now people can go somewhere else. They can spend their money somewhere else. They're giving you their hard-earned dollar bills to tip you, and they don't quite even understand why they're tipping you. Is it because they like the song? Is it because you're popular? Is it because they know you? Is it because they like the outfit?
For me, it's the song, and if you know the actual words.
Yeah.
Some just get, and they don't know.
And they're mushing them out. Yeah. Bubblegum in a chew.
So
Are you kidding me?
The song has to be like, for me, if I'm feeling the song, oh yeah, you getting $1 just for the song. And then it's like, if you know the words, I'll give you
I'll give you another $1. Yeah. So I start on time, and like if you're on my show, I mean, I say this: I'm playing the overture at 5 till. We're starting our pre-show music, and at 10 o'clock, if the mic goes out or we need to change the batteries, I am livid. And I'm like, when did I turn into this person? Because usually I'd be like, oh, well, we're going to start. We start. Anybody got some super glue? Like,
What advice would you have for anyone that's starting drag today? I know you said
oh,
you can
boy.
find online, but like from you, like what?
Have a point of view. Have like a character. In your mind of how you want to be perceived, because if you're good at it, you're going to be that character for a very, very long time. It's very interesting. Like I've typecast myself to a certain extent. Like, and I used to really hate it. Like when I was going through the trenches of being done with fantasy, I was like, well, I'll do something else. But I was brown sugar.
Yeah.
You know, I would go and audition for a role, and I was too femme. You know what I mean? Even though I can play a mean heterosexual, I was still a little too femme. You know what I mean? I was looked at in the community and in the theater world as brown sugar, and so that was have a point of view. Have a sickening something to give. I remember my friend told me once, Darren Burton, God rest his soul, Key Nicole, she said, always bring something to the party. And that means if you have a sickening hair, if you're known for your hair, you're known for jewelry, you're known for exotic nails, you're known to have a beautiful face, a fabulous body, you're going to be a body queen, have something. Have something that is yours and yours alone, that is distinctly specific to you. And you've got to work really hard to find that niche.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I think you brought a point too. Like once you find that something, and if you've done it so long, people are gonna see you for like that. When I seen you first, like you're brown sugar. Like
yeah,
like that is.
It's brown sugar first before it's Damian Brown.
Yeah, I didn't even know what your real name was for a while.
That's it. There's a lot of people that don't.
Yeah.
This lady at the bank the other day, she goes, brown sugar? I have a name tag right here, sis. Like, keep it professional over here.
Yeah, like, that is, like, but that also means, like, how well you've done that. Like, that's who you are. Like, you've branded that. So you've done a great job.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and I just thank you for being a part of Kueen Talk, because this is like about representation. Like your story, I had to have you on here just because, like I said earlier,
it was a long time coming.
Yes,
sorry.
No, but when I went to Fantasies, like you stuck out to me. Like your show was amazing. I will never forget the fantasy shows. Like that was the start. I was 18. I didn't wait till I was 21 to start drinking.
Okay, that's it. That's it.
I was in there getting lit, having a great time. And it was so fun. And I thank you for doing that for the culture. Like seeing that representation of a black person up there doing it, running and hosting a show. Like that was great for me to see. It was the only time I did see it.
Yeah.
Growing up, I'm from El Dorado, so like driving 30 minutes, 45 minutes to
Just to come see my black ass.
come to Fantasy every Thursday because my older cousins, they put me on.
Yeah.
So coming with them and spending that time with them and all of us just like getting that representation, then having to drive 45 minutes back home and then see that. But it was just like that was the spot, and the spots always need to stay created. Like
Absolutely.
we need our own spots.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah, the straight bars, they're fun to go to. I go to them every now and then, but like just going to a gay bar or
Our safe space.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, where you can just see that representation, be yourself, without even a worry inside. So I just thank you for being that piece of me. Like,
Well, listen, thank you for letting me be a part of this, and thank you for coming out when you were 18 and I was only 19.
yes.
The lies.
Hey, I know that's right. Would you like to leave the audience with anything? Like, is there something that?
Oh man, listen, be good to yourself because you only have you. Be good to your eyes because you only have two.
Yeah,
I was about to start rapping, but then I just stopped. I'm sorry, because it just rhymed at the very end.
It did. I was like, hey, I didn't know what.
Oh wow, I didn't know where I was going either. But then I was like, okay, two, shoe, blue. Stop where your head, Damian.
Hey, thank you again. Thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of Kueen Talk. I hope you enjoyed this episode with Brown Sugar, aka Damian Brown. That's what we should say now. But yeah, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe button, leave a comment, and let us know what you think of this episode. And do you miss fantasies? I do. But yeah, let us know. But as always, family, friends, strangers, love. Be nice.